Shall we play a game? Yes, that exact same line from a very insidious and basically suspenseful horror series. Shall we play a game? And the game that we're going to play is going to still have the same impact on people's lives, livelihoods, futures, so on and so forth. And the game is how do we mess with numbers on a very popular drug in order to convince people that it may be saving them. In reality, it's probably, don't want to use the word kill. Yeah, we can use that word, and additional harm them. And here we go. The citation title being Safety of Life-Saving Efficacy of Statins Have Been Exaggerated, says scientists, i.e. or researchers. And I'm telling you, I'm playing down the title right now. As I read more to you, it's going to become more and more intense and far more criminal. In the citation title that was published in the Expert Review of Clinical Pharmacology, the citation title says a little bit more, as it's printed down below, says how statistical deception created the appearance that statins are safe and effective in primary and secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease. Now, here is when the game is afoot. To read a quote directly from that review, it goes as follows. The effect of the drugs on the population is called the absolute risk, which has shown that statins benefit, ready for this, benefit only 1% of the population. Isn't that comforting to know that your governments, whether it be Britain or the United States, are now trying to recommend statins to everybody over the age of 60, yet it only benefits 1% of the population, which means the risk now of cancer, diabetes, depression, of a whole other slew of ailments now skyrockets above any potential benefit. But I digress. Let me proceed. This means that only 1 out of 100 people treated with a statin will have 1 less heart attack. Keep in mind, that doesn't even mean a fatal heart attack, just 1 less heart attack. Statin researchers, however, don't present the 1% effect to the public. Instead, they transform the 1% effect using another statistic called the relative risk. Yeah, we just can't tell you the truth. We have to mess with numbers and create whole new terminology and math, basically to find ways to deceive the public and governments and medical doctors and researchers and the whole lineup, which creates the appearance that statins benefit 30 to 50% of the population. The appearance. Yet, how many people is the absolute risk? How many people does it actually benefit? Maybe 1%. And now I proceed forward into this dark, deep world of this drug cartel, trying to create public policy by making sure everyone is taking a statin. Yet, it does hardly anything. Let us proceed into this dark world. In the Jupiter trial, again reading from the research, the public and healthcare workers were informed of a 54% reduction in heart attacks when the actual effect of reduction in coronary events was less than 1 percentage point. Now you remember, this is not the fault of your doctor or your medical professional. Your doctor and medical professional are relying upon credible data when they go to prescribe you a drug. They are told it's going to reduce heart attacks and heart or coronary events by 54%. They're trying to do things in your best interest. But when they're being fed bad data, not from pharmacists or researchers, bad data from stockholders and hedge fund managers, what else do you expect? And I proceed forward. Basically, we look at in the Ascot LLA study, which was terminated early because it was considered to have outstanding results. Keep that in mind. Do not forget, terminated early. You'll find out why they terminate the studies early. But here I go. I'm going to read a little further. There were heart attacks and deaths in 3% of the placebo, no treatment group, as compared to 1.9% of the Lipitor group. I want to go a little further before I say anything. The improvement in outcome with Lipitor was only 1.1 percentage point, 1.1%. But when the study was presented to the public, the advertisements used the inflated statistic, otherwise known as relative risk, or we'll just call it lying, which transformed the 1.1% effect into a 36% reduction in heart attack risk. But here's the real reason why they ended the study early. The authors emphasized that low cholesterol levels related to statin use have frequently been associated with an increased risk of cancer. They also noted that most statin trials were terminated within 2 to 5 years, a period too short to see most cancers develop. You get it now? Oh, our test is so successful, we terminated the study early. No, your test sucked. You terminated the study early because you were worried that cancer would start appearing as a side effect, and you knew it. Nevertheless, studies have shown a greater incidence of cancer in people who take statins. I'm reading from the research now again. And one long-term study demonstrated a dramatic increase in the incidence of breast cancer among women who had used statins for more than 10 years. All right, let's see your breast cancer foundations jump on this bandwagon and start attacking the cholesterol-lowering medications. You're going to see how this is all one giant party. Their paper is an analysis of the data in the statin trials, which led them to conclude, this is their words, that statin advocates have used statistical deception, we'll just call it criminal, because that's really what it is, to create the illusion that statins are wonder drugs. Wonder drugs for someone's bank account, not yours or mine, but someone's. When the reality is that their modest benefits are more than offset by their adverse effects. Diabetes, depression, cancer, you name it. And that's the problem, is basically these guys get away with this stuff. What I basically call, in my world, it's called the fourth branch of government. You have the judicial, legislative, executive, and then you have the medical theocracy. Medical theocracy is so strong, when even politicians go to question it, let's say, for example, you take like Ron Paul or Chris Christie questioning making vaccines mandatory on individuals. Well, they didn't agree with it, so what do? They try to excommunicate them. When you have a medical theocracy that powerful, they can make or break presidents, you got a problem. The Department of Justice needs to go in, take all the files, find out what the real risk of these statins are, what they've been hiding from the public, and get into the meat of how bad it actually is. Now keep in mind, when you hear this article in the press, you're not going to hear about manipulating the figures to show that the effects of the statins were much more beneficial. All you're probably going to hear is that they didn't report all the side effects, which kind of waters it down. In reality, what they did is they messed with the numbers, they deceived the government, they deceived Medicare, Medicaid, and all your other healthcare services, as far as your insurance companies, and worst of all, they deceived you, your brothers, your sisters, and your husbands and wives, and take to a medication that has maybe far more harmful than good. In reality, I don't know. All I know, it only benefits 1% of the population. I don't know how bad all the side effects really are, because you and I, the public and the government, does not have the data. That's something to mull over. Ralph Turchiano, signing off once again, and I hope this helps. Again, it's not your doctor's fault. They're only as good as the information that they are given. And this, obviously, just not your doctor's fault. Again, Ralph Turchiano, signing off.